Welcome back, my tarp-hauling travelers of twine, my cart-carrying connoisseurs of comfort, and my spoon-whittling dreamers lost to the smoke. Hobo Yeti here. Tonight's experiment is a joke stretched over 24 hours. What happens when a bushcrafter and a hobo spend a night in the same woods? The setup sounds like the start of a joke, but the punchline comes in blisters, grilled cheese, and dignity slowly eroded by mosquitoes. The bushcrafter steps in with axe, ferro rod, and that quiet pride that says, I could live here forever if civilization burned down tomorrow. The hobo rattles in with a cart stuffed like a garage sale, tent, food, memory foam, even soda. Not streamlined, but it works. This isn't really about survival, it's about priorities. One man wants to prove he can suffer nobly. The other just wants to get through the night with hot food, dry socks, and enough battery to finish a crossword. 2 p.m. Arrival. The bushcrafter surveys the clearing like a golfer lining up a putt that might save humanity. He sets his axe in the dirt, paces, squints, and nods at trees as if they're his jury. Then the chopping begins, wood chips flying, sweat darkening his shirt. Already he's narrating the scene in his head like a survival documentary that no one will ever watch. The hobo, by contrast, parks his cart and unfolds a tent with all the urgency of a man opening lawn chairs at a barbecue. Stakes in, rain fly on, chair planted, hot dogs hissing in a pan. While the bushcrafter mutters about ridge poles and angles, the hobo wipes mustard on his sleeve, chews, and stares at the sky. Scoreboard, calories consumed, hobo 500, bushcrafter none, 4 p.m., shelter progress. The bushcrafter scans the trees with the intensity of a wine critic, except the bouquet here is mostly sap and mosquitoes. His lean-to rises like a geometry project graded by raccoons, lopsided, uneven, but built with grim devotion. Each knot tightens like a prayer, each lash of bark a minor act of penance. The hobo reclines in his camp chair, crossword balanced on his knee, code red sweating by his side. He fills in words like oblivion and nap, offering commentary when the bushcrafter curses. Roof looks crooked, he says, sipping soda. Sap drips down the bushcrafter's arm as he wipes his forehead. The hobo smirks, circling another answer. One man constructs struggle, the other enjoys shade. 6 p.m. bedding. The bushcrafter steps into the woods like Bob Ross with a beard down to his belt, determined to paint happy little shelters out of sticks. He gathers pine boughs, layering them with the reverence of an artist. His mattress grows needle by needle until it resembles medieval chiropractic equipment. He pats it proudly, ignoring the sap smeared across his palms. The hobo unrolls a salvaged memory foam pad with the ceremony of a king unrolling red carpet. 0-degree bag tossed on top, pillow stuffed with clothes, test bounce approved. He sprawls back, satisfied, then offers the bushcrafter a Pop-Tart. Pride stiffens the bushcrafter's refusal, though his eyes betray interest. One man builds a bed for pain, the other builds a bed for sleep. Only one will wake up smiling. 8 p.m., food. The bushcrafter hovers over a low fire, coaxing a pot of weeds and one unlucky rodent into soup. Smoke stings his eyes, dignity dissolves into steam, and each stir feels like defeat. He mutters about nutrients, as if repeating it could summon flavor. The hobo flicks a butane stove, flame instant and blue. Rice-a-roni boils while grilled cheese browns in a battered pan. The smell drifts through camp like victory itself. He flips sandwiches with a greasy spatula, humming tunelessly. Bushcrafter slurps pond-flavored broth, forcing a nod. The hobo bites molten cheese, sighs audibly, and chews like a king who shops clearance. Calories win wars. And tonight the hobo eats like royalty while the bushcrafter eats like regret. 10 p.m., nightfall. The bushcrafter tends his fire with the solemnity of a man reenacting Jack London's nightmares. Sparks vanish, smoke thickens, and his shelter groans against the wind. Mosquitoes chew his arms like unpaid creditors. Every new log is another plea for warmth. The hobo snores inside a waterproof tent, belly full of grilled cheese, crossword half finished. He dreams of laundromats where dryers work and socks come out matching. His tent walls ripple softly with rain on the way. The bushcrafter mutters about resilience while watching flames retreat. He strokes the fire as if it might love him back. The hobo rolls in comfort. The bushcrafter rolls in smoke. Midnight, trouble. The bushcrafter jerks awake to raccoons climbing his bear bag like drunk burglars at a fruit stand. He leaps up, waving sticks, roaring into the dark. The raccoons scatter, regrouping with laughter in their squeaks. 2 trees down, The hobo stirs when claws rattle his grocery sack. He curses, throws a boot at the offenders, and zips tighter. The raccoons, unconcerned, scamper back into shadows. The bushcrafter spends an hour pacing like a nervous mall cop, dignity unraveling with every crunch of leaves. The hobo, meanwhile, drifts back into sleep, snoring louder than the raccoons retreat. 3 a.m. rain. The sky opens. The bushcrafter's lean-to immediately leaks, water trickling onto his blanket like a faucet no one fixes. He scrambles with bark, twine, and frantic mutters, patching holes as fast as they open. Each gust mocks his handiwork. The hobo lies, cocooned in waterproof nylon, smiling faintly as rain drums its steady rhythm. The sound is a lullaby, a reminder that some shelters are designed by engineers, not desperation. He sighs, rolls over, and drifts deeper into dreams. The bushcrafter coughs as cold drops hit his face, wool-soaked, fire sputtering. Across the way, the hobo sleeps dry, dreaming of cinnamon Pop-Tarts and tarps that never leak. 6 a.m., dawn. The bushcrafter crawls from his lean-to like a miner after collapse, eyes bloodshot, hair clotted with ash. He sets a tin mug on glowing embers, muttering about bush tea. Each sip tastes like boiled smoke and resignation. The hobo unzips his tent with a yawn, stretching in clean air. Breakfast is a cracked code red and a frosting-smeared Pop-Tart. He chews slowly, listening to birds that sound suspiciously like hecklers. Bushcrafter sips bitterness while the hobo licks sugar off his thumb. One man greets the day stiff and scorched. The other greets it buzzing on caffeine and frosting. Survival isn't equal, only one looks rested. And that's the match. Bushcrafter versus hobo. Romance versus reality. Pain versus pragmatism. The bushcrafter treats every twig like scripture and every flame like salvation, but by morning he's wet, cold, and gnawed by raccoons. The hobo treats survival like clearance shopping, cheap, patched, ugly, but it keeps him fed, dry, and laughing. Here's the truth. Survivalists dream about being dropped into a 1,000-mile wilderness during some grand SHTF collapse. But unless you live in the Alaskan interior, you're always within reach of a barn, a store, or an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese. Comfort isn't cheating, it's adaptation. The world doesn't hand out medals for suffering, just bad backs and blisters. If you can eat without foraging weeds, do it. If you can survive without carving spoons, do it. I hope your road is a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. And remember, nothing tastes better than hot food you didn't forage. Take care.